Billingslea, and director, and I loved a small object that could interconnect called a tinker toy, which looked like kind of like Lincoln Logs, but they had wheels and pipes and tubes and connectors and all sorts of stuff. We could put those together and build stuff. I just love doing that. I'm going to pass it over to Max.
Hi, everybody. I'm Max Bowman. I did a video on this show. I would say my favorite toy, probably just Lego, which I feel is very, plain and generic, but yeah, it's a classic. And I'll go to James.
Hi, everybody. James Arthur M. Pronouns he, him. I was the guy that was talking a lot during the show, 90 minutes. My honor and pleasure to get to play Morgan and take y'all on that journey. I was a big Legos guy. I have an older brother. I bypassed they're supposed to be like the ones for like toddlers. I went straight to his
Hello.
like older Legos and I was just like addicted to those. But I just remember one time my brother made me mad once and I broke we had like this space Lego thing that he had built and I had just finished it and we got into a fight and I smashed it. And
Oh,
there was like a piece that we never found, so we were never able to like complete that thing like ever again. He stopped playing with Legos soon after, but I continued, and boy, would I build. So that's how you get rid of your older siblings. You just
oh,
do things and take things over. He was
James, I have
mean.
a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, and I'm just imagining if one of them broke the others. Oh,
He was a grown. He was like 12 years old. He needed to move on, buddy.
thank you. Vincent. Hello, Vincent.
Hello. Hey. Hi, everybody. My name is Vincent Terrell Durham. I'm the playwright of Running After Shadows. And I guess I'm the oddball here because my favorite thing to build with as a kid are blankets. We used to build these enormous, elaborate tents from blankets and tie them to the bedpost and like tuck apart into the dresser drawer and close it so it would stay together. Yeah, we just take 5, 6 blankets and have these beautiful tents. Tent cities, I guess they were called, but yeah.
My boys do that too. Yes, the
Okay, there you go.
blankets and pillows, they make forts all over everywhere.
Yes,
I tell you, it's much more comfortable to step on the blanket than it is to step on the Legos.
yes.
So, ow. Thank you all. Oh, this is exciting. So, I have questions that I'm going to ask our lovely artists, but also we will have plenty of time for audience members to ask. There are some of you here live. There will be others of you watching later on in the future in YouTube. And so feel free at any time if you've got a question, put your hand up, type something into the chat. Oh, yes, James is also saying in the chat, we used to build massive forts with blankets and pillows. Yeah, it's still fun. It's still fun. Well, since Aldo is short on time, why don't we first start by talking to Aldo and Vincent a little bit about how you two first connected, because I believe it was in 2020. Did you have a project before that, or was it the Juneteenth project in 2020?
That's
It was
correct.
that Juneteenth project.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about how you first connected and what that was like working together.
Jim Kleinman gave me a script. I told him I wanted to do some work with him and understand some things about producing. He said, "Well, you get lots of scripts. This is a really good one. I think you should read it." I read it and we were doing something, and I said, "Everybody stop. We're going to read this play. We're
And
going
this
to
was
listen to
polar
this
bears,
play."
right?
And this is Polar Bears, and this is just prior to the pandemic. And I read the play aloud to my wife and 2 other friends, and we laughed and we and gasped in moments, and it was just terrific. And then pandemic happened, and then George Floyd was murdered in Minneapolis, ironically enough. And the next morning, Jim Kleinman called, and I said, "Hey, I know why you're calling." And he said, "Oh, great, you can help us with our Black Lives Matter statement." And I was like, "No, I thought you were calling because we needed to do this play." And he was like, "Oh, yes, you're right. It's a great time." The play ends with a police shooting, And so we did that, and we asked all these theaters to jump in, and those theaters told some theaters, and those theaters told some theaters. We had like over 70 theaters around the country, on the East Coast, in the South, in New York, everywhere, that were doing this play, and each of them made a contribution. And we put it on, we did it on Zoom, and we raised over $100,000 that one night for Juneteenth. We did it on Juneteenth, and raised money for black theaters. And there were all these theaters that were involved, but only one, City Lights, had an artistic director that said, "This is a great new voice. We need to do something," and she commissioned him, and that's how we got here.
Yeah, so Polar Bears, Black Boys, and Prairie Fringed Orchids. That was, I remember watching that Juneteenth 2020, that live reading. I'm sure some of you also did, and it was incredibly powerful. And I didn't know Vincent before either. And yeah, I remember Lisa going, "Oh, we need to work with him. This play is fantastic." And so Lisa basically just, and you had directed that one, Aldo, and then Lisa just contacted both of you after that and was like, hey, let's do something.
Yeah, actually, I didn't direct it. I grabbed someone else so that I
Oh,
could
you
try
didn't
to
direct
do
that
some
one. Okay.
producing things, and it was. And I will tell you this: tail out of school, the person was very innovative with some things on Zoom, and that's why I thought it would be good. But there were some choices that were so innovative that they were not quite appropriate for the play, and I was looking at them going, this will all work out. And then I left, and I came back, and it was perfect. It was terrific. And I asked one of the actors, I said, "What happened?" They said, "Well, when you left, Vincent made some choices and told the guy how to do it right." And I was like, see, it all worked out.
And I would also like to say, like, there's things that you remember in your career. And Aldo approaching me with the Juneteenth project was one of those things that I'll always remember. And I don't know if you guys have ever had that experience where you receive some news and it puts a smile on your face and you can't let that smile go forever. But that was one of those moments that my face was just frozen in a big smile. So yeah, I thank Aldo for that. Very much so.
And did the two of you meet in person? I mean, this was 2020, so you probably didn't. Was it all done on screens and phone?
For a while. But then there was I think it was a gala that Playground had that we got to
Absolutely
meet.
right.
That's right. Playground in San Francisco was one of the big forces behind it. Wonderful. And so then, as you said, Lisa stepped in and said, "We'd love to have something at City Lights." And this was, I think it was still 2020. Anyway, it was still pandemic time. And she said, "We're going to commission some works from BIPOC playwrights, and we are going to commission some streamed works, one act plays, because we were still at home." And that is how this play got started. And you directed the streamed version as well, Aldo, I believe.
I did. I was. It started in D.C. I was doing a gig at the Arena, and met a young actor there that was pretty terrific, and was made this arrangement to be able to video him and work with him while he was taping himself with one camera and zooming himself with another laptop, and some of it got lost in translation. We lost like one section of the play, and all sorts of technical difficulties. But the script was really pretty good, and
Yeah.
we were excited about that. And then it was about the Notebook.
Yeah.
It was really focused on the Notebook, right? The title was, how many unused pages? Was it 64 unused pages? 61. And yeah, I knew I didn't get that right. Yeah, it was originally called 61 Unused Pages, and referring to the notebook that you see in the play. And Vincent, what was it about this particular story that felt like it was time to tell? Because I know you've written about your family before, but this
Yeah.
this was different. What made this the time?
I was just sitting reflecting about my relationship with my dad. And instead of picking up the phone, I'm a writer, so I get to imagine what I want to happen. And that's what I did. I decided, okay, if I'm met with the challenge of him passing away, how am I going to react to that? And it felt easier to write it than to live it at this point. So that's what I did. I wrote it.
Interesting. Interesting. If some of you, I'm sure, have seen that the play is on the cover of Metro this week, Metro newspaper in San Jose, and I know the reporter was talking to you about that, and he was saying that you still haven't made that call. Oh, do you have to go, Aldo, or someone
No,
just
I
read the
was
paper?
just giving Alyssa a thumbs up because Alyssa was holding up the Metro and
Oh, thank
saying,
you,
"I got a
Melissa.
copy." That's James's face right there.
I grabbed all the copies of the paper I could find. I brought them to the theater. And then on opening night, Vincent said, Rebecca, do you have another copy? And I was like, I think the patrons took them. Those darn patrons, they took the newspapers and we found one more for you. I gave Lisa 5. And yeah, that was a thrill. I digress a minute, but I knew they were doing an interview. I knew they were doing a story. There hasn't been as much theater coverage in the Metro in recent years. Of course, all newspapers have been cut back, but so to have something on the cover, that was pretty exciting. So yay. And that photo was by Darius L. Carter in LA, who took that photo of James.
Well, it helps to have photogenic actor meet artistic director. So I'm saying director, playwright. So those two photos, James on the front, and then the artistic work that captures Vincent
Yeah.
inside. My wife loved that, and then I looked over, and my boy Vincent has it as his screensaver on his phone.
Yeah.
I was like,
Will you open it
yes,
up to show
of
the
course
inside?
you do. Of course you
Yeah.
do.
There's the designer did this beautiful image. Look at this. Look how beautiful
Yeah.
this is.
Such a great picture. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think
I
it's
want
your
those colors in real life now. I want that on my face permanently.
I think it's your Instagram portrait too, your profile.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Visual aids by Alyssa.
Visual aids. Visual aids are good. I don't even know what we're talking about. This is just too exciting. I was walking down the street with the newspaper going, woohoo! And so well deserved. So well deserved. Okay, where were we? What were
I
we
have
talking
a
about?
question for Vincent, if I can jump in.
Go,
Here.
James, jump
You're
in.
talking to someone who does interview, like I interview people on the red carpet, so I'm like, I have questions. Vincent, I'm curious for you, what it is like, especially like opening that you saw the show twice, and what is it like? Because I know this piece is very personal, and some of these things are things that have happened to you in your life or kind of splintered from your life. What is it like watching elements of your life take part on stage, and also you're watching it with other people as well? Like, what was that experience for you? Do you need a hug? Like, I can reach out to my therapist, Marcus Christmas. Like, I was just like, oh, I hope Vincent is doing okay because it's a lot of, I mean, I'm living through it night after night, but I get to shake it off. And I will walk away from this piece and it'll still stay with me. But at the end of the day, like, this is still like, it's your history still, you know? So I'm
Right.
curious for you.
Yeah, the great thing is that I've lived with this piece so long and I've read those words so many times and I've read the memory so many times that it wasn't the words and all the action wasn't painful or put me in a state of sadness. It was your acting that put me in a state of sadness, because I've seen those words and read them and they've turned into just words and action. But when you lent voice to it, that's when you tugged on my heartstrings and, some tears were welling up in my eyes. So, yeah. And the one thing that I don't know if I said this to you, but I know I said it to several people Thursday after that first preview, that the play didn't seem like it belonged to me anymore. It seemed like it belonged to you. That's how much you gave to it. Yeah.
That's so special.
There
And
was
thank
a
you all. Go ahead,
there
Aldo.
was a moment in rehearsal. We were rehearsing on Zoom for the first couple of weeks because James and Vincent were in LA and I'm in the Bay. And we did the scene with his young grandmother on the front porch where Morgan's father starts singing Wade in the Water. And we talked through it a little bit and then we did it and we were about to move on to something else. And Vincent, who had been pretty quiet in most of the rehearsals, unmuted and said, "That's just the way I saw that scene. Thank you." And his voice cracked when he said it. And then we all got verklempt. So
Oh, so good. And James, you said such a nice thing after the first performance too. I said, "What was it like being in front of the audience for the first time?" And we often say at City Lights when a show opens, it's like the audience is the final character in the show. And you said it was like my scene partner was here. The audience was my scene partner, and I never heard that before. I just love that. I believe you said warm hug as well.
Yeah, it was a few different things. I will share this with you because we're friends and intimate spaces. For me, like the worst place I can ever be during a performance is like in my head. I just want to be like in the moment, living truthfully underneath imaginary circumstances and going on this ride with you all. And I felt I was like, it was maybe halfway through, and I just was like, I'm at home right now. I've never felt so at home. And it's, I think, from top to bottom, just City Lights. And I know Lisa's very intentional about the community space that she is creating. And it's the people behind the scenes, everyone that I've worked with, Max, like the whole crew, everyone at like the bar staff, like everybody is so wonderful. And then to get to now add in the main ingredient, I would say, is the audience, because it was like it's a whole different experience. Like telling the story to empty chairs and imagining that's not. You all are right there. I can see you. Like my mom was like, I didn't think you could see me. I'm like, no, I could see you, and you were like beaming too much, so I had to look away from you. So it was like, all right, thank you for being proud, but I can't. You're putting me in my head, and I got to tell this story. And it changes the vibe for me, what you all are like reacting and connecting to, because it is just, 90 minutes of storytelling, and you all dictate the vibe of, where I'm going with it. And it was that other piece. And also just like it's a very terrifying thing. It's like, my friend, there's this great a roommate of mine had this thing of like it's like the artist process, and it's like it starts off at like step one, this is great, and then it's like this is shit. I am shit. Wait, it's good again. Nope, this is shit. What the hell are we doing here? And I had that towards like, the end of the process. I'm like, is anybody gonna want to like be on this journey for 90 minutes? And that preview, like first 2 minutes, I'm like, oh no, they are on this ride. Let's go. Buckle up. And for me, and I don't know what it's like, I hope it's similar to those of you who've seen it, but that 90 minutes flies by and it does feel transformative. And that's the work that we do together. It's a giving and receiving, and that's always like my hope and prayer with this work is that theater is a transformative experience. It only happens in that one moment, and we get to share it together, and we get to go on this ride and this journey together. And I think this piece is so special in the sense that it really is so universal. Many people who are coming are not gay Black men who've had these certain trauma experiences. There's a lot of things that like have happened in this play that I haven't necessarily happened to me, but there's other things that I can relate to or connect with. There was a woman who came up to me. She was a refugee from Russia, and she was like, "My father didn't come pick me up either," and she had to like walk all the way back up the stairs. And there was a thing with her winter coat where she made him go buy him the most expensive winter coat. That we all have these sort of connections and these, you know things that we need to heal from. And I think the biggest thing that I've like with this show is like that forgiveness. I always say, like, we're all just these walking bags of meat trauma. No one makes it out of this journey without a little bit of trauma. I don't care if like your parents were like the hippiest, like, psychologists, then it's like they loved me too much and they were stifling. There's always going to be like something, but then it's us as an adults, we have to find our way to forgive and move forward, because otherwise, as Oprah says, it's like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. And that's, for me, that's what I can feel. Morgan's catharsis at the very end is not wanting to keep that. Like, his dad did the best that his dad could do. And I can relate to that, for my own self, of getting to that point of like, oh, okay, like my dad was just doing the best that he could do throughout his experience. And that's everyone is just hopefully trying to do the best that they can do. And maybe it's not the best that you wanted, but it was the best that they could do. And how can we move forward and forgive? Because holding on to that, it just hurts ourselves. And then what do hurt people do? They hurt other people. So we got to stop hurting each other and heal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do other folks have questions? If not, I have more. Hi, Alyssa.
Hi, everybody. I want to come in here because I want to sort of jump on what James was just talking about. First of all, congratulations. My God, what a tour de force. One person show, as we know, are incredibly challenging to pull off. And I was at opening night, so I think that felt like a win. But it's so physical. You're doing multiple characters. It's only you for 90 minutes straight. And my question is, oh, and it's very emotional material. So are you just absolutely spent at the end? Are you like wrecked for the next 24 hours? Or how is it for you to go through that experience as an actor?
Thank you. Great question. It's interesting because this is my second piece in a row. I did another play at NCTC called Hot Wing King, and it's got some deep, emotional, jarring, scarring things involving like police brutality that I have to, that my character, there's a, it's the second act is just me crying and mourning over the guilt over my sister, and feeling the guilt of it. And it's interesting because like that show would like I would feel so spent from it. There's something about this play that the journey of it is so cathartic in the end. And I think also too, I think this is the gift of City Lights Theater. And again, it's reminding like, I mean, theater is a community thing. And for me, it's like this is like the gift that like my ministry is theater and storytelling so we can have these healing experiences. Like for me it's like not about me, it's about you all getting a story and an experience and something out of it. And so what the beautiful gift is, someone asked her like how do you like decompress, and originally before we had started previews, it was Is It Cake on Netflix. I don't know if anybody is a fan, but I it's just to watch mindless is something cake, let's cut into it. It's not cake, it's a bowling ball. So that was originally my decompression of just like watching Is It Cake. But once audiences started participating, for me, it was just getting to talk to you all afterwards and hearing your stories and your experiences and your connections. It's like this is why we do it. And I mean, I can sit and talk about like process and what people get out of the show like forever. They're like, James, Ben wants to go home, our stage manager. Like, stop talking to the people, get out of here. So I think like I just get so much back. And again, that last moment, it doesn't, there's a catharsis the way that it happens. Like it really is like I feel the forgiveness through my body every night. And so it's able to pass through. So, and I drink lots of water. In between, I go to the gym every day and trying to get as much sleep as I can. So trying to take care of myself so I can go on this journey and with all of you every night.
Well done. Congratulations. Massive congratulations. And to you, Vincent, my gosh, massive congratulations to you too.
Thank you.
Vincent, I think you're frozen, but we heard you, so that's good. So you're still here.
Oh, am I still frozen?
Yes.
But we can hear you.
Oh,
So,
wait,
oh, there you are. You're back.
Okay. All right. All
I
right.
wanted to ask you a question, another question, Vincent. As a writer myself, I immediately gravitated toward this. I'm fascinated by the fact that the play started out as a one act, and then you and Lisa decided let's expand it into a full play. How do you decide at that point what's going to get expanded, what's going to get more love, or were there scenes that you left out the first time? Like, how did it evolve from a one act into a full 90-minute show?
Uh, I don't know, to be honest with you, but but I can, because like what we filmed, in my opinion, is drastically different than what we have on stage. And I don't know what happened in between those two when I sat down to rewrite it. And either I became a better writer or I allowed myself to be more vulnerable.
Mm.
So it's one of those two things, and I really don't know. But I hope I'm a better writer. Maybe that's it. But I did. I think I let down some walls, and I said things that I was afraid to say. I think even in the first script, I didn't tackle being gay, and not that I talk about it that much, but yeah. But I think maybe that freed me to like explore a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I noticed that James said something interesting in one of the interviews. I can't remember which story it was. You've all been interviewed a couple of times, but you said that there is this is a play, regardless of race, that any queer person can relate to, and that's there's a lovely universality about that.
Yeah, I think I think at the end of the day, we all have a longing for belonging in some way, and I'm sure we all have experienced when we haven't gotten it. High school can be pretty traumatic. It can be from, loved ones, and I think that everyone has, I think there's a moment in the play where like, oh yeah, I can connect to that, or it wasn't that exact thing. So I think it's such a gift because what I appreciate this past year has been such a blessing because I've gotten to play for like written as black gay characters. That is part of their identity. It's part of it's not the main focus, but it's there, right? And like what a gift because that hasn't always or wasn't always the case. And what's so nice is like we finally get to be the vehicle for stories. Because so oftentimes I have to watch a story and like be like, oh, I guess, my life is kind of like that straight white man's in that way. And I had to find my way into the story. And now it's like, now you all do some work and find your way to connect it. And there's going to be some things that you don't connect with, and it's going to be a learning, like, oh, they have to deal with that? Had no idea. And then there's some that it's going to be like, me too. Whoa, that high school is hard. Or like, my daddy didn't love me too. Let's, have a hug. So it was just really nice that like that to see us like being like in the forefront, and that every character I played this past year has been like so incredibly different. And like I'm glad like I was actually about to like retire. I was like about to not do any more acting. I was like, I think this has gone as far as I can. It wasn't working. And then I was like, all right, universe, I'm gonna turn 40 and like I gotta see something. Otherwise I'm packing it in. And then universe was like, bam, 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 bam. But I also say do a vision wall because that's what my vision wall turned it around. I had a picture of Coleman Domingo on my vision wall, and then 2 months later, I'm auditioning for a show that he like wrote, which I didn't even know that the man was even writing shows. And then like this past year, summer, doing it for my birthday every year, I had it's 2 pictures of a man doing a one-man show. And fast forward like what 4 months later, Lisa's like, this one-man show. And I was writing one, and it's not great. No, too long. And this was like a cheat code. I'm like, oh, sweet. Someone else wrote. Great. I just feel like I bypassed half of the work. So thank you, Vincent. Now I'm in it for the long haul. I'm doing the Cicely Tyson career. I'll be acting until I'm 115.
Good. Absolutely. Keep going. There's a question in the chat, and I'm going to read out questions in the chat because, as I said, some people will be watching on YouTube later and they won't see the Zoom chat. We have a question from Kim, and we know that Aldo had to sign off because he had another commitment. But Kim wants to know, and this is actually, we can bring in Max as well. Kim would like to know, how did James and Aldo navigate the live stream element? I thought you did a great job of walking the line between practical and theatrical. And of course, we have Max, who designed all the video and the projection. He's the one who made the chats go pop, pop, pop. And that's one of the things that I just loved. I was talking to Max about this before we started, is that video can sometimes take over a live work on stage. It can just pull focus. And here it was so smoothly woven in. It was just like, I mean, it was meant to be obviously written into the show, but it was so smooth. The backgrounds were so evocative and perfect. The way the chats popped in, the way James talked sometimes to people on his watch, sometimes on the screen. Maybe you both can talk a little bit about that process, Max and James, about how it wove in so nicely.
Yeah, I think from like a design standpoint, we're always just trying to not be in the way. And I think that we have like a character of kind of a chorus that we kind of have like, off stage that we kind of have, constantly, kind of going, in part, and kind of, being, in scenes. But we want it to feel as, as natural, where it's like you just want it to feel like it's a magic thing. It goes and, and pops in, and you don't feel that it's like a thing that we went and, and thought about. I mean, it's kind of this tough thing. And even like we spent a lot of time figuring out when they go and fade out, even just so that they didn't feel like a thing that you had to focus on, and they just kind of went and drifted off into space. I mean, because again, all of this is like the video, everything else is like, I actually feel like me and, Lauren, our props, a designer for the show had like a very similar role where we just kind of had to build a space where just everything kind of felt, right, kind of all the objects had a moment and then they just instantly went away and you went back to focusing on kind of our, main thing on stage, which was, James. Yeah.
Yeah, and kudos to Laura Merrill, our props designer.
Yes.
Absolutely. But that's a really interesting, yeah, there were things, and I noticed at first, the very first time I sat on a rehearsal, it's like, oh, these video backgrounds are a little off, they're blurred. Like, are they?
Yes.
And then it's like it made perfect sense because they were there, they were evocative, but they weren't pulling focus. And
Yeah.
James, oh, sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, and I think the way this play is written is that we go and move so fast. Like we are just always on the move, kind of constantly. And I think that if you if you really had to stop and focus on anything outside of the actual, text of the play, it's just going to go right by. And so it was extremely important that and anytime we went anywhere you just kind of went and drifted along, with it, and you didn't go and focus on it. You didn't do anything else. It just kind of, washed over, and then you were there, and then we were gone. It was, yeah. I mean, there are times that we can really help, set a specific, place, and I don't ever felt that we needed to set a specific place. We needed to kind of set a time that could kind of fit a lot of things at once because it's not really how a memory works. It is not like I have all these details. It's very strange ones. It's very, abstract ones. And it really wanted to feel like we were going there, with him and then kind of had a chat that had to go and rip him, kind of, back into this more, grounded, world. Anyway, James.
Yeah,
But
there's so many times where James is like, oh, sorry, I forgot you were there. Or where Morgan does that. And I love that.
Well, I was going to say that actually that I think this is also kudos to Vincent because I think you found a way to make a one-person show interesting. It is that element because at first it was like a one-person show. Like even I was like, oh, does anybody want to see this? But then when I read it, I was like, oh, it's a conversation with the IG audience. That was my hook. That was the thing that really made me say, one, I can do this because I know how to have a conversation with people. I know how to have a conversation with an audience, And I was like, something about that was just so compelling to me. And it was really right out the bat that I was like, oh, the audience is they are the IG, they are the IG viewers, And so we were very intentional about like where it starts in the very beginning where I am just communicating right there, but then we open it up to the whole entire,
So
everybody.
smoothly, too. It was
And then
just
at the
such a great
very
fit.
end, like the last bit, I bring it right back to there. And then it's interesting because you all get to continue seeing Morgan's most private moment, that he wouldn't have done what he did in front of his, Instagram audience. And so also shout out to Max as well because like Max like was like, wow, this seems like a really hard thing as an actor. It's literally kind of like having a phone call conversation with by yourself because you have to know like what the heck the question is that's being prompted. But Max being such a team player, there is actually a board, there's like a board like a teleprompter on the back that has the different questions and they're in different colors. So it's like what is it? It's like red, like what like
Yeah, it's
green
a
is
a
yeah, they have
stoplight, system. Yeah, exactly.
yes. And
Oh,
so the
you're
questions
seeing like in the back of the.
yep, over
Oh,
towards the booth, I can see the questions. I know the
oh,
questions,
I
and
didn't
I'm
know that.
also terrified that maybe the question isn't, I don't know, the teleprompter went out, so I'm not relying on it. But it is nice to see that it is up there because there's so much that is happening. And that's like, I think another example of like, Max was just like, wasn't just like, he'll figure it out. He was like, let me jump in here. And it was a proactive thing. I don't think anybody asked you to do it. Like you, and I was the only one that remembered in our very first production meeting. You were like, I got this thing for you. And Aldo was just like, yeah, good luck, buddy. You got to know all these things. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a screen. He's like, you won't be able to see it. And it's like, none of that was true. I knew what you were saying, Max, from the get. So
Well, I
thank
mean,
you.
yeah, because it's like I had these nightmares of just you on stage having to do this like all night, just always this, and I was like, I can't let this happen. But it's no, but it's like really a testament that again, it is a 90-minute, gone in just kind of a speech, and I believe there are 59 or 60 different
Oh my God, wow.
chats. in the show. So it's like to know what specifically all of them are would be insane. I would be very concerned if you could actually remember, okay, no, God, and that pops that pops that. And so we had to give you some way. But yeah, no, I mean, but I mean, that was also a part of this where it wants to feel, like a natural thing, just so that you go and see it, he goes and responds, and there's no beat. Like it's just like, yes, we're having a conversation, and the train is still, just going and flying on the tracks, because this has to feel out, completely out, kind of, speed and control until the very end, when that James and Aldo did such a fantastic job of like, and we're kind of, uncertain, and then just stopping everything for a good, 3 minutes of just the most soul, gone, and crushing, and no tech and no everything else. Like I think that us kind of making that stuff kind of feel so seamless, so that way when it's all gone, and then you're just left with a person on stage, just kind of goes and works, so well.
And I had no idea how that would be accomplished, but I wasn't going to let that stop me from writing it. And Max crushed it. I can't tell you. I've told Max twice already that you just crushed it. That's the third time. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Can I tell on that note, Vincent, so I was talking to my mom about this, and I think this is actually the beauty and brilliance of you, Vincent, because like, and I mean this in the best way possible. I read the script and I'm like, this guy is not an actor. There's no way an actor would have written a piece where they're playing 20 plus characters and some of them are come on for one line. Vincent is just like letting his imagination go, and like they'll figure it out. Like that's not my job, that's them. And like there's so many sharp left turns of like, wait, now I'm talking about this thing and I have to like make that connection like work. And it's actually because like I don't, and there's not a single actor that would have written that. They would be like, okay, I'm just gonna do like, 6 characters and they're each gonna have just like a long monologue. I have one scene where I have a conversation with three
Three
people.
people.
There are three people having a conversation. And one, and like I've named her Calliope. Everyone, they all have names. But the cashier, Calliope with a K, because she works at Kmart. She's so real to me, and that like it's like sometimes I'm like I'm waiting. It's almost like I'm expecting her to be there when I'm talking, and like it's only like no one else will notice this in my mind. It feels like it was like 5 or 10 seconds when I'm like, here comes Calliope. Wait, nope, that's me. Okay, like it's like very subtle and slight, but I had to remind myself of like, no, that's also you, babe. Like that's you have
You're like
also.
waiting for her to say her line.
She's so like real to me that I'm like,
It's so real. Yeah, I remember you telling me that story.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you have to be you in the back and your mom and mess
Gosh,
up the
yes.
coat.
And they all have like they all have like very like distinct ways that they talk and body postures. So it is specific, so you all don't get lost. And like I just really pleased that like because there are so many devices, like Max was saying, like there's a lot that you as an audience have to do. Like you there's no sleeping on this one. You've got things to do. You've got to read the thing there. You've got to, and I think that is what helps you stay engaged, I think, as the audience, because you have work to do. You're not just passively in it. Like you're like, oh, okay, that's the dad, or that's the, okay, oh, they're talking there. Like you've got things to do. So clock in. And you gotta listen, you gotta respond to me. I'm talking to you. I see you.
Yep. Yep. Well, I've got some production photos that you haven't seen yet, James. What do you think? Should we look at some photos?
Okay, as long as they're good.
No, they are good. They are good. Look at you with your boxes. Let me spotlight me. He's so happy with his boxes.
That is I do love doing this. It's like Christmas every day where I get to open up gifts, so that's fun.
That's
I
a
hope-
great shot.
Yeah. Oh, and kudos to our company photographer, Christian Pizzarani, who did an absolutely beautiful job. And there's Max's beautiful projection. I love that. Max was kind enough to give me hints of some of his teasers of some of his projections when we were doing the publicity photos, even before the show opened. And he put them in the background for me. I love that one.
I think if I can say Morgan's Test Kitchen, I think it was my little brainchild there. Didn't I throw that in
Are you
there?
going to start that Instagram at Morgan's Test
Yeah. If is it cake? It's got to, is it Morgan's cake? I don't know.
Everything in the box is cake.
It's this little cake, yeah.
Here's a really sweet one.
Ooh.
Oh,
Even if you did put the doors on wrong, we won't tell anybody.
is that an actual Firebird? Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Nice.
And you know what I figured out for myself, this little thing, that's what my dad drove. My dad did.
Oh, I
Oh,
love that.
oh, so that's why.
And
Oh,
in my imagination, the car is blue, and then this car is also
it
blue.
is
Oh, wow.
blue.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right,
Look at
this.
you, you actor. I love it.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Woo!
Ooh, the Britney or Beyonce. Fun fact, these are my wigs.
Oh, they are. Nice.
Yeah, and they actually, yeah, because this is actually the benefit of rehearsing. We did a month of Zoom rehearsals in December, because I had been here in in the Bay for 9 months of last year, and I was like, I gotta go home for a month and just recharge, but can we, do Zoom rehearsals? And then, like, a lot of it was me finding props in my house to work, and I think it started with the aunt who has, like, the Diana Ross wig. And I was like, obviously we had to have a wig. And Aldo was like, nah, I don't think we need a wig. I'm like, there's no way, the audience must. And I'm like, let me. And I just did it. And then Aldo was like, okay, yeah, we'll use the wig. But then we were like, I brought some extra wigs just in case for set dressing. And we weren't going to use this wig. But then it was the day before on our first preview, Aldo was like, why don't you grab the other wig for the walk, for the yeah, big moment. And yeah, here it is.
I love it.
This picture makes me ask a question. How much sweat do you wring out of your shirt? As,
I am a sweaty beast. Yeah, I thank God. I'm glad I got to take that other layer off early on in the show.
Are you ready for a sad one?
Okay.
There we go.
uh,
Oh, wow. I can't even, dear God.
I
Oof.
know.
Ow.
It's heartbreaking.
Wow. I'm sorry. You guys have to watch this? Dear God.
It's so good. It's so good.
Oh, God. The Lord.
I know,
Poor
it's so good.
guy.
wow.
Ooh, yeah. Someone's going to the gym.
Okay, so this last one, I've decided that if you've never been in West Side Story, you will be now because you look like you're in West Side Story, don't you? Could it be? Yes, it could.
Yeah.
I don't know why. That's a West Side Story.
I think Kim said that she felt so bad when I had to put the sweater on because I'm so sweaty.
Oh,
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's not on for long. And luckily it got shorter. We've got even a shorter one recently. So little crop top.
Yeah. Oh, I've been missing the chat. I'm going to show one more photo and then I'll go to the chat. And then we have to ask more questions and then we got to go. All right. We always do a silly photo of the whole team. And there we go. That was after the last dress rehearsal. Oh, and look, you put the shirt back on.
I was confused on what was happening. But yes, I
Yeah, we'll have a lot more photos to release as the run of the show goes on. Good stuff. All right, let me jump over to the chat so I don't miss these. Dan says, I thought the synchronization of the chat messages with James' action was flawless. Agreed. 100%. 100%. Absolutely. Alyssa says, such a great device. And Elaine wants to know, how did you decide the size of the urn? That's a good question because in my mind it was larger when I read the play.
That was we went through a few urns. In my home, it was what was it? My collagen powder or oatmeal powder box. So that was the thing I was using for a long time. But they went through two. It was a conversation for our props person.
Yeah.
We also went through a lot of different ashes, like what was going to be the ashes. At one point, it was like cocoa, and that just wasn't gonna work. And then there was some weird sand that I was allergic to or something. And that wasn't gonna work. I think the current one, Max, it's like buckwheat and kitty litter.
I believe so. It's yeah, a custom, mixture because it's been a ongoing issue because like we do love, and Lauren, I'm sure could talk for, hours and hours and hours. of like we do love when you first, open it up, there's just a bit of the dust that comes out of it and it's so perfect, except that all that dust coming out in the air means that you're gonna go
Mm.
and breathe it in. So there's kind of this like, fine line of like when we first did it and it was a big, and cloud came out. And then we slowly realized that you could not do the gun, and rest of the show because you were getting, all stuffed up and everything. So there was a real, fine line. And then kind of also at the end when you had to go and clean it up, we had to then figure out what's going to actually, work so you can, use it on stage and have it not just go and rub, kind of into that, rug and stuff. But it was that, the color, I think, I think, we talked about for a, long time. Yeah, it was really one of, I mean, because, again, when you only have really two people on stage and one of them is in a kind of urn and a kind of ash form, it's really a yeah, it's a challenge of how to best again to make sure it goes and reads, but then you can get right back into into what we actually need to do.
Yeah. I will say that the one that we landed on is not my favorite version. We had one that was like a really fine gray that looked like ashes for sure. And like this one's good that we had too. There was one that we had that I was like, this is just sand. Like my brain could not commit. I'm like, this isn't a body, this is sand. All right, let's just get like, but it is like, but the one that we had, like every night, it is like, I just and it's the this is as it's so bittersweet. Vincent, you are a wild man. Like that he says earlier, Morgan says, I don't know what my father's touch will feel like. That's as close as he's ever going to get to his father. And it's sad that it's his ashes as close as he's going to touch him. So I just thought it's such a heartbreaking thing to it's a lot to go through. I can't even imagine. Like, it's so hard touching your father's ashes. Like, Vincent, look what you make me do every night.
It's a beautiful moment. It is. It's so beautiful, and that in the quiet of you doing that, it broke my heart twice.
Mm, 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 mm.
Vincent, there's a question for you in the chat from Jerome. Thank you, Jerome. He says, "Hi, Vincent. I live in New York City, so I didn't see this show, but what other plays have you written and what companies have presented them, and have any been produced in New York?"
New York, New York. I miss New York. So, hey, Jerome. Let's see. I've written the Fertile River, which is one of my babies. I love the Fertile River. And to be honest, City Lights is the first company that has produced my work fully. Everything else, the Fertile River, I co-produced that. Polar Bears, Black Boys, we've not had a production of that. We've only had readings of it. So this Lisa and City Lights is really the biggest accomplishment I've had, and which is why I keep smiling every time I talk about City Lights. And I haven't had anything done in New York City. We did a 10-minute play in New York City, but that was about it. That's about it.
At a Fringe Festival.
Actually, it was actually Playground LA, I should say, has done a lot of my 10-minute plays, and those are always staged reading plays. And that was they had a gala in New York City, and so we took a 10-minute play with Playground LA. Yes. So yeah, shout out to Playground LA. They really got me started.
Awesome. Thank you.
And Vincent, you're from New York, aren't you?
I am from Binghamton, New York, as James has learned how to say.
Binghamton.
And then you added another one towards the end. It was like, I only know how to say these other two that are, it was like throwing me off. But yes, learn how to say Binghamton, New York. I just say it really fast and move on.
And James, so you live in LA, you have Northern California roots. One of my friends was so excited to see you, and I said, you both went to UC Santa Cruz, and you guys were off and running.
Yeah, a Bay Area boy, California boy, grew up in the Bay, Fairfield, California, what? Trappist Unified School District, Air Force Base, yes. But yeah, I went to school in Santa Cruz. I did 4 years in New York. I say I did my time, and then I came back. February 29, 2020, I took a leap year on a leap year, and it was the best decision I ever made. Glad I went to that psychic in December who said, your life isn't here anymore. And then I left. 2 weeks before the pandemic had started. So thank you, psychic. Do your vision board and go see your psychic.
Good to know.
But I have lived off and on in San Francisco for 15 years. And if anyone's familiar with New Conservatory Theater Center, I thought that was like, this diamond in the rough of like wonderful places to work, that there's no place like that. And then City Lights is just equally as wonderful, where everyone you work with, everyone there is just so collaborative. But you all know that, which is why you're here on a Zoom on Monday night.
And tell us about your connection with Marvel Comics.
Oh, yes. I'm actually wearing a Captain Marvel shirt right now because I'm a blurred. That's a black nerd. I
You just lost Alyssa for a minute.
broke Alyssa. Sorry. I wasn't ready for that one. Yes, this is about 2017, 2018. I have been working with Marvel. I do some of their red carpet. So things are kind of changing. People were tightening the purse strings, but when in the heyday, they were, it's like the Academy Awards red carpet special that we would get to do, and we host like a 2-hour live stream. I got to do 7 of them so far. Interviewing like Angela Bassett, Chadwick Boseman before he passed. It was such a wonderful, wonderful light in this world. Angelina Jolie is most awkward interview I've ever done in my entire life. She's an introvert. She needs like a sit down interview with an edit. She'll never see this video. And she's a big fan of City Lights. She's gonna check it out. Angie, I love you, but the interview was awkward. But yes, I started doing that in New York. I started off when they had like a YouTube TV series through Marvel that I was like a man on the street sort of host for, and they brought me over to the red carpet stuff. And I will say, I was talking to my mom about this. It's like doing live streams have prepared me to do this one-man show. One of my acting instructors said the best thing that you need to do to be as an actor is just live your life. And my life experiences is what made me be able to take on this show and all the different ways of like doing live television for 2 hours in a live stream where like anything can happen, literally like anything can happen, anything does happen, and you've got to just roll with it, balancing many things, a producer in your ear telling you to get rid of Angela Bassett, but you're going to ask her one more question because you don't care. And just like having to continue to vamp. And that has been like incredibly helpful, or even just like, living your life experiences. Like there's like, I couldn't have played this part 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I needed to have gone through certain life experiences to understand like what that is. And even just my relationship with my father is so beautiful and wonderful. I'm so grateful for that. And that's the only reason why I could tell this story. I think if my dad and I hadn't, like, 12 years ago, didn't have like the best of relationships. And when I found out that my dad does love me authentically, he doesn't fully understand, he's like, I grew up in the time that I grew up. I don't really understand the gay thing, but and that's if I want unconditional love works both ways. I have to love my dad for who he is and where he is, and I'm gonna get that in return. But I told my dad, I was like, I want you to come see the show, Dad. I did not write it. The only reason why I can do the show is because we have such a beautiful relationship that I can go to those places because it is healed for me. But I know it's not for everybody, and so again. I feel very blessed that I have been tasked to be able to take folks on this journey to tell the story so we can go on this journey together. And I just thank you so much, Vincent. I am just so honored and grateful that you have written this piece and that I have been able to arbiter. Is that a scary thing? That's like an arbiter of that we don't want to. What's an arbiter? It's like a person who brings people to things. But why do people say arbiter of death? No, I don't want to go there. The person that I just feel grateful I get to bring people on this journey. We'll leave it there.
Well
I'm
said.
grateful for you. The universe brought the right actor. Thank you.
Anyone else have other questions or things you'd like to say to our artists? Oh, here we go. Dan said, opening night had one of the longest standing ovations I can remember at City Lights. Yes. And during the last part of the play, the audience was so quiet and engaged that you could hear a pin drop. Truly outstanding. All of that is true. All of that is true.
Well, and I think like the end of the show is a fantastic, example of like why to go and see a show, live. Is that like, sure, you could watch a person to do that on screen. I'm sure it's been done, but it is like a different experience when you have James 6 inches in front of you, actually scooping this up in the slowest way, slowly pop. I mean, it just kills. It's just that there is no filter, there's no savior, there's nothing between you. You just have to take all of his, stuff that he's going and throwing off. And it's like, yeah, I think that's why you go and see, live shows.
You are in the room. Thanks, everyone. Anything else? Lots of applause going through. Anything else anyone wants to add or say? A big thank you to Elaine Baskin, who is one of our show producers. We couldn't do it without you.
Thank you, Elaine.
Elaine is also from our nonprofit partner to whom we donate a portion of the proceeds, and you will be in the house again coming up on the, oh my gosh, I just blanked on the date of your nonprofit night, the 31st, right? 31st, the matinee show. Elaine, do you want to say anything about the Institute for, I can't talk, I'm tired. The Institute for Personal Change. Do you want to say anything about your organization?
I would. It fits so well with this play because what we deal with for our adult clients is going back into their childhood and helping them learn to forgive their parents for being imperfect human beings. I mean, we go back into childhood, we feel the anger, we do all that stuff. But where we end up at the end is exactly where this play ends up, which is they did the best they could. I forgive them. And that is the beginning of emotional freedom. And so I'm so pleased to be both a producer and the nonprofit partner. It's such a good fit.
Thank you, Elaine. Yeah, so our matinee on the 31st, Elaine will stand up before the show and talk a little bit about her organization, and then you can stay afterwards and meet her. After every performance, we have a party up on stage. That's a City Lights thing. And boy, are we grateful to James for being able to talk after that experience of the show, and you get to go backstage and collect yourself for a minute, but then you come out just like a ray of sunshine, and it's really impressive. I think I would be exhausted after that.
I thought so too. Usually I'm like, you say I'm a Meryl Streep. I put everything into that performance I couldn't possibly. But again, it's just, I think it's the magic of City Lights. Like you all are just like open arms, and I'm like, I'm coming for the hug. So, and I need a hug afterwards. So please stay afterwards and give me a hug.
Yeah. And we run through February 8th.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Vincent.
If I could give James one more kudos, this play, I have not let my mother read it yet, because I was afraid it would take her someplace that I didn't want her to go. I didn't want her to beat herself up or feel guilty about it. But after Thursday's performance and opening night, what you do to the play, James, made me regret that I didn't invite my mom out to see the play, because I think it would do nothing but heal her or just lift the burden if she has a burden. So that is, I wish I had flown my mother out. But
that's okay. Is she in New York? We're gonna come do this show. This show continues. We're to go on tour, Vincent. I don't know why you think this is it. Like we got Edinburgh, we got New York, we got LA, we got things to do. If you know
I got my passport.
If you know a theater, send it our way. We gotta keep spreading the show. So yes.
Indeed. And also say kudos and thank you to Nancy Coleman and Paul Resch, who are also producers of the show. Hey. Thank you so much for your ongoing support of City Lights.
Glad to do it.
Thank you. Everyone have a fantastic night. If you haven't seen the show yet, come see it. If you have, tell everyone you've ever met. We close February 8th. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you, everybody. Bye. Have a good night.
Hey, guys.